G'day internet world. Today I'm going to teach you how to fix your brake caliper when it's making a horrible noise. So I'll set the scenario for you. So when was the last time you had your bike serviced properly? Fully, man. I ride my bike so fast and I'm so fully sick, man. But these wheels you sold me, man, they're shit. They make noise. And man, I haven't got time to wash my bike. I'm too busy riding, man. Fully. Man, can you just fix my bike? I like to ride my race wheels all the time, but they make noise. Too much noise. Can you just fix it for free? All the time, man. I put lube on my chain maybe once a month. I do at least 1 million miles a week, man. Okay, so what we have here is a fairly late model, good quality bike, some carbon wheels, and a brake caliper that is making a lot of noise. I call it reverberation or reverb. It's not really brake squeal, it's definitely a reverb, as you saw in the ride. So the first thing we do, we're just going to remove the caliper from the bike and get it on the bench, and in about 10 minutes we'll see a transformation here at the pivot points. When you grab one of the arms and give it a bit of a wobble, there is quite a bit of play in the actual pivot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take you through the steps to service the caliper. Pivot bolts. The first thing I've done is give it a quick wash, just to get rid of all the grime. Nothing worse than working on dirty parts. So the first thing I'll do is release the spring. So you grab your multi-grips, grab the spring nice and firmly. You don't want to slip doing this, otherwise you're going to hurt yourself or damage the caliper. Just prise the spring away, just like that. And that frees up your caliper arms. So now that I've released that spring, I can actually have a look at the pivot bolts, feel them, see if they're tight, loose, and just by wobbling in this direction up and down, I can feel a fair bit of play. I'll try and get it on camera as good as I can. That play, there's lots of play in this bowl here. Now, when you're pulling apart the caliper, there's quite a few small parts that it's important that you don't lose. Remove the 2 grub screws that are down here. If you try and undo these, undo the caliper without removing the grub screws, you're going to be in for a tough day at the office with some extra damage. So these grub screws are a 2mm. Now you don't want to lose them. Pull them out, put them somewhere safe in your parts pile. If you lose them, you're going to have a pretty less than perfect caliper. So they're just 2 underneath. There's one more grub screw that we'll need to remove, but I'll get to that. So you get your 13mm, get hold of the caliper nice and firmly, and undo that. What this does, just gives you access to the pivot arms. This is what I call a top nut. That stuff that fell out was just a bit of thread residue from when it was grub screw was installed. So put that somewhere safe. You're going to remove your spring. So there it is. Okay, so we've got access to our caliper. Now, the main problem is usually this pivot bolt right here. So in here you'll see another grub screw. Move the arms around so you've got access to that. Okay, so there it is there. It's another 2mm. So you want to remove it. If you don't remove it, the whole job is a pain, and we have to remove it. Put it with your grub screw pile. Okay, there's a little locking nut on the outside. Take it off. Put it somewhere safe. That's the only spot you need your 3mm for. Okay, oh, sorry, the 3mm on the outside here too. So this pivot bolt here is the one that usually causes the issues. All the play in the arm. We're going to take it out. That was loose as. Now when you take this out, there's a few washers and things you want to take note of. Okay, there's one there, and one just fell out. That one there just fell out from in here. Okay, so we've got bolt, washer, the big one goes in between the two. Okay, an outside washer that goes on the bolt, and there is also a bush in here which is very important that you keep. Okay, this looks like it's all falling apart, but it's very easy to put back together. That bush there, pull it out, clean it. We're going to put it back in. So there's only one more to do, and that is this T27. So basically, these sometimes are really hard to undo, but you've removed your grub screw. You don't have to undo it fully. What I do is I loosen it off. I clean out with air or compressed air or whatever. I'll do that off camera. So once I've cleaned that up, then I put it back together. I'm going to go and do that now. Okay, so I've just washed it, blew it out with some compressed air to dry it. All I want to do, I'm just going to put one dot dry flow in there, and that's plenty. So when we do this up, now this is the trick here. These pivot bolts need to be done up firmly. Okay, so now there's bind. See, that is just too tight. So I'm just going to back it off a tiny bit, very small amount. So now I can see my pivot arm is free to move without bind, but there's no play. So that is step one in rebuild. Step two is we're going to rebuild this pivot point just here. Okay, so first step in that is we put our cleaned bush back into the cleaned receiver. We take our cleaned washer. We're going to put one there, and one on the other side. Remember that one? Just there. Okay. You can put a double tri-flow in there if you want, but it's not overly necessary. And then we put our pivot bolt with the cleaned up thread as best we could in there to hold it all together. And start to reassemble. So we grab our Allen key, the 3mm, nice and straight. That should go in nice and smooth. Now it's the same deal with this pivot bolt. We're going to get it in tight enough so there is no bind, but loose enough so there is no play. Now right there, it's solid locked on. So I've got to back it off a little, have a look. So I've got movement, but very little play. So I'm just going to nip it up a little bit more. Find that sweet spot a bit more. Yeah, nice. Now we reinstall our grub screw. It's not a bad idea to put a bit of Loctite in there, but I've never seen one fall out yet, so they're installed correctly. So the idea of grub screws is that they lock onto that thread and prevent the bolt from coming loose. So we want it firm, but you don't have to get carried away. These are a tiny little grub screw, 2mm, so it's just firm. And the final part for this front pivot is your preload bolt, or your locking bolt, whatever you want to call it. We put that in, and all it does is butt up against the other bolt and take a little bit of puts a little bit of preload on the arm. So again, it takes away the play. Sometimes you can just torque that up and it will sort out your whole problem. But that's the cheats way to do it. So there you go. We've got that in. We've got no play. I'm pulling the caliper this way. There is no play. All that play is gone. Okay. Now all we need to do is reinstall our spring. Like so. Reinstall our top nut. This has got to be firm. Firm but not binding, just like the rest of them. And this is all done by feel. There's no torque settings or... Then we put our grub screw in. The final stage is to grab our preload spring. Now I find a good trick with this is to have this bit of black plastic facing upwards. You get your multi-grips in a nice spot, and as it rolls over that little lip, it just clicks in like that. Carefully remove your multi-grips, and there you have a serviced caliper. So we'll reinstall this on the bike. Hopefully it works. I'm sure it will. Done it many times. No more noise. Done. For free? What took you so long, man? How much for the job, man? Oh, can I pay you on payday? I'm a bit skint. Oh, while I'm here, man, can you just borrow my gears? Oh, that's right, it's DI2. Can you just fix it? I didn't get time to wash it, man. Do you mind? Can you just do it for me? Oh yeah, have you got any tubes, man? Can I drop it off tonight at 9 PM? But I need it by 10 PM. It's the hot in the morning, you know. It's fully sick. Can I pick it up tonight at 9:30? I got the hot in the morning. It's fully sick. But I need it for the hot. It's the hot, you know.